comes from becoming from very good to good, because then you can't contribute anymore to an organization's performance anymore. And I don't feel that this moment has happened yet, but in our team we look ahead. And it doesn't mean that I'm quitting as a team principal, but I'm looking ahead and say what could be my involvement further down the road. I'm a shareholder and co-owner of the team, so I wouldn't say, that's it and I'm out of there. On the contrary, but I'm just contemplating.
So could you see yourself becoming a majority shareholder? Would you
No.
buy more of the company? Would Ineos buy?
No, definitely not.
Definitely not to Ineos.
Definitely not to Ineos. I think that it will always be a Mercedes team, as long as Mercedes wants to stay involved in Formula One, and they have clearly given that commitment. I think that nothing's going to change.
You touched on the family aspect to it, the work-life balance. You had a race off fairly recently. How did it make you feel? Were you longing to be back, or did you think actually this is the future, that there's got to be a balance that can be struck here?
I think I'm very lucky that I have a 3.5-year-old now, and we're living in the UK, and I'm doing things that I wasn't able to do with my elder children. Simple things, just bringing Jack to nursery, or picking him up, or spending the weekends together. This is something that I have discovered now for me, which I haven't done before. It was leaving in the morning, saying bye-bye, and coming late at night. And it has really increased my life quality, and I love it.
I mean, your modesty will probably prevent you from agreeing with me, but you are a serious operator. When you consider what you've done in this sport, we were talking to James Allison earlier, actually, and he said, if it was down to him and he thinks the rest of the team, he'd have you for 8 years and then 8 more years after that.
I think, first of all, James is being complimentary when he's on camera.
What's he saying off it?
No, I'll tell you what he said, and I think it's a great compliment. He said to me, "You're the best team principal I've ever worked for." And I said, "Seriously, this is the first compliment I get from you." And he said, "Yes, all the others were useless and actually damaging our performance. You're the first one that is neutral. 50% of the things you do are helpful, 50% are unhelpful. And neutral is pretty good." So that's his opinion. But at the end of the day, there's 2,000 team principals in our team, all the people that are involved in the project. And I would never consider myself as the one who can take the glory. It's 2,000 team principals.
What about Lewis? What about Lewis's future? He is on the cusp of extraordinary achievement within the sport, on the brink of this Michael Schumacher record. I mean, you must have grown up watching Michael and loving him and admiring him. He was a big part of why I love Formula One, and I don't think there's anyone that wouldn't say the same.
Same for me. I admire Michael's achievement so much. He has his sprint over a generation of drivers. The 10 years from the early 2000s to the end, I mean, it was the Michael Schumacher era. And I remember when I met him first time, it was on a flight to Singapore, and he invited me to play backgammon. I was so starstruck. I think I consider myself a good backgammon player. I was so starstruck that I lost the 2 first games, and I thought, he's going to think I'm an idiot. But it was just, couldn't believe that I was sitting opposite Michael, who has won 90-odd races and 7 championships. So in a way, I miss him, although I have never known him properly, but I miss him because, I think I would have had good exchanges with him.
Back when you were playing backgammon and it was 91 wins, that just seemed untouchable. You thought, no one's ever going to break that record. But Lewis can and probably will.
He would have never dreamt of achieving 91 wins. He would have never dreamt of having a similar career like Michael. And certainly for a driver, it must be very emotional. If he can do it, then obviously it's going to be overwhelming to be on the same level than the greatest driver of all time.
Yeah, it's astonishing. Stefano Domenicali has been appointed the new CEO of Formula One. Is that a job that you wanted?
Liberty made me think about it, but I realized that I love the stopwatch, and I like the competition. And if you're in that role, that's obviously a totally different ball game. But all that, anyway, that thought didn't make a lot of sense to pursue, because Ferrari made a clear commitment and said, no, we would veto that.
Does the sport have any concerns, though, the fact that Ross Brawn, Jean Todt and now Stefano are all Ferrari guys.
No, I think Stefano's integrity stands above all, and he will have a big heart for Ferrari, as we all do. I mean, it's the most unbelievable brand in Formula One. Formula One couldn't do without Ferrari, and in that respect, I don't think that he's going to be in any form biased. And the same for Jean, and the same for Ross.
Toto, you are a great asset to the sport and always such a pleasure to talk to. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Matthew.
Look at the state of that Mercedes car. The checkered flag will come in the nick of time, and a record 7th British Grand Prix victory. It's Lewis Hamilton who takes the race.
Seb, it's great to see you. Before we get on to racing, I want to talk about your off-track activities.
Yep.
Seb, you've been a great advocate for change, whether it's inclusion, equality, or the environment. This is an important part in your life, it seems. What's given you that confidence to be so positively outspoken?
Probably the truth is, when I was younger, I was not thinking about a lot of stuff. My life is not sustainable because traveling around the world doesn't help. But yeah, in my little bubble at home, I try to make as much of a difference as I can.